So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you a concept from the great jazz and blues guitarist Ted Greene. If you aren't familiar with Ted Greene, he's an incredible player. He was an incredible and famed teacher. He's got some great books out. And this is a really simple concept that can really get you a lot of results out of your playing. And we're just going to be looking at a basic kind of 1-4-5 blues, and how we can add in some extra chords to add some extra motion to our playing and add some more color. So there's going to be two examples. There's going to be diagrams popping up here to help you along and understand kind of what I'm doing here. And I'm going to help show you everything while playing in a couple different situations. So let's say, for example, that we have just basic blues in G. So G's maybe a funny key. I know a lot of blueses are in the keys of E or A or D. We're going to be in the friendly key of G. So the voicings we're going to be dealing with today are going to be shell voicings, and we're also going to be dealing with closed position triads. And if you aren't familiar with either of those terms, basically a shell voicing is a seventh chord where you either omit the fifth or the root. So the two kind of combinations that you would get are the root, the third, and the seventh, or the root, the fifth, the third, and the seventh. So they're kind of like diet seventh chords. And then closed position triad is a fancy way of saying that you're using all of your notes within one octave and you're just playing a triad. So it's going to be the root, the third, and the fifth. And so a basic blues in G, if you don't already know this, all chords in a blues, unless otherwise specified, if it's a special case, are presumed to be dominant chords. So everything that we're going to play in this G blues, I'll just play you one quick form through. Let's say we're playing 4 bars of G to start, so 4 bars of G7, then 2 bars of C7, then 2 more bars of G, then a bar of D, a bar of C7, a bar of G7, and then let's say 5, so D7 again. So just a basic blues form. Now, I was playing some relatively standard kind of seventh chords. These are maybe some of the first dominant 7 chords that guitarists tend to learn. But let's look at what we would do if we played these a little bit higher up the neck. So I'm going to play this G7 shell voicing right here. And this is going to be my home base for trying out this concept on G7. So this, anytime there's a G7, I'm going to grab this. This is shell voicing with the 7th, the 3rd, and the 5th of the chord. So I have F, B, and D here. And if I did you one, actually, I'll just play you a simple blues. I'm going to use a closed position triad for the C, and I'm going to use a closed position triad here for the D. If you want to download these diagrams to help you in your practice, you can check out my Patreon, linked down in the description. All of my patrons get early access to videos as well as these diagrams. But anyways, here's what our blues would sound like with these particular chords we're going to be looking at. So we get I just did a little chromatic step into the C. Here's my 5, D. I flipped my voicing around, but I'll leave that in because even professional guitarists make mistakes. So the trick that I stole from Ted Greene here is he recommends kind of preemptively kind of playing the 4 chord to whatever chord you're going to. So if we were going to G7, the 4 chord would be C. And if I look above this voicing here, and I play notes on my 10th, and then 9th fret, I find a C major chord. And this is also a really nice one because it has G, which is the chord that we're playing. We're playing a G blues. It has that voicing as the lowest note. And now check this out, how I can create a cool little bit of movement between this C chord and this G7 chord. So if I go 1, 2, here's the blues. And I'm just creating that little movement because this C chord, if we think about the notes against G, we would have G, which is my root. It's the 5th of my C chord, but it's the root of my G chord. C is the note that's really making this work. It's my suspended 4th. So in a G major chord, or a G7 chord, my 3rd would be B. So if I have that C present, I'm implying a G7 sus sound. And then I also have E, which is my 13th, which is that note on top I was bouncing between earlier when I played my little blues shuffle. So the magic here is that all of these notes fall by either a half step or a whole step. So G falls to F, it goes down a whole step. C falls to B natural, which is a half step, and then E falls to D. So I can create this really nice 1, 2, here's it again. Now if I want to do the same thing for the next 2 bars of the form, where I'm going to be playing a C chord, or my 4 chord, I'm going to put the major 4 chord if I was thinking about C. So in C, if we went C, D, E, F, so I want an F major chord. Now this one's great because it works the same way. If I grab this F, so this is an F over C chord, I'm playing 10, 10, 10 on my top, or my D, G, B strings, not my top strings, but I'm playing an F major triad there, and then that's going to fall to my C here. So now, if we were to do this same thing, we would get then if I do D, all I need to do is drag those up. So the 4th of my D chord is G, so I'm playing this G over D chord, so that's G with the 5th in the bass, and then I can go down to that D. So I could get, on that last 4 bars of the blues where it goes D, C, G, and then maybe a D to bring us back into the top of the form, we would get something like this. 1, 2, give you some rhythm. And there at the end, I was doing this cool thing that a lot of people don't realize you can get away with murder with in your blues playing, is you can use these little chromatic slides. So what chromatic means is you move up everything up by a half step. So here, when I did that, I threw a little bit of grease on it, and I slid from, this is technically an F sharp 7 or a G flat 7 chord, into that. So by either going from a half step above or a half step below, I can create some really powerful and really strong movements. So now, let me give you an example of what that sounds like, where I may slide chromatically in to my 4 chord or into my 1 chord for each of those. So let's say we're going from G, or we'll just start from the top of the form. So here's me giving you a demo of what that sounds like with some little chromatic slip and slides here. 1, 2, a G shuffle blues. So hopefully that gives you an idea of some cool direction you could use. Now, to show you how you can take this maybe a little bit further, what if we replaced those closed position triads for our C and our D chord with C7 and D7 chords? Kind of similar to what we were doing with this G7 voicing. So the good news is, a lot of you watching probably already know this shape, but we would use the same 4 chord, but then rather than playing our root here on the bottom note, so this is C, E, G, if we played B flat, E, G, we have the same little shell voicing that we're using just on the upper string. So this is basically like the shape of a D chord, but you're playing it a string higher. So that would sound like this if we were to substitute in those 7ths. 1, 2, here we go. Here's me trying this again, but I'm going to be doing it with those dominant shell voicings instead, and I'm going to maybe start on the dominant 7 chord rather than just working on that 4. So if I went 1, 2, a 1, 2, 3. I was using a little bit more tense of a chromatic sidestep there. But that's a really, really cool way to work in some of these things. Now, this will work anywhere that you can play a G7 chord, a C7 chord, or a D7 chord, or even just basic triads. And then you're just kind of preceding each of those chords with a 4 chord for that respective chord. So it's a really, really powerful way to create some kind of direction. And I just wanted to make this video sharing this because I think a lot of the students that come to me seem to think that the way to get better voicings or more interesting chords happening on the guitar is to throw as many notes as possible into them. But all of those voicings, in my opinion, sounded great, and the kind of movement is really satisfying and gives you this kind of legit, kind of down and dirty blues shuffle. And really, you're just using 3-note chords in all of them. So it's a nice kind of diet way to move around while getting some interesting things happening in the harmony without, you know, getting tendonitis doing a big stretch like that. So if you found this video useful, I'd really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe. It truly helps me out more than you can know. If you're looking to take a guitar lesson with me, there's a link to get in touch with me down in the description. I'd love to work with you on whatever's troubling you on the guitar. If you're looking for a way to support me in the free educational content that I put out here, you can subscribe to my Patreon down below. All of my patrons get early access to videos as well as cool behind the scenes sneak peeks. It's stuff that I'm not sharing anywhere else. So I'd love to see you over there. Another great way to support me and what I'm up to is to check out either my ebooks or my video courses, which are also linked down in the description or on the merch shelf. It's a great way to get some more in-depth educational content from me than I can put into a 10 to 15 minute YouTube video. And last but not least, I'll wish you all a wonderful day, and I hope you have some fun playing the guitar. See you in the next video.